Just making sure nothing's in the... Okay.
Hello, everyone. It's Chef Jason Wrobel here with Heather Mills.
Hi.
And we are here on Switchen. It's the Switch for Good kitchen. It's our very first live cooking video ever in the history of Switch for Good. We've released some recipe videos in the past, but we decided after getting some of your survey questions saying that you really wanted to see some live recipe videos, we're launching this brand new series here on our YouTube channel. Heather's our illustrious special guest today, going to be sharing some incredible nutrition information and sharing some of her products that may be coming to the US soon, we're hoping.
Yeah.
So Heather's going to tell us all about her journey on a plant-based lifestyle, vegan diet, and these incredible products. You may have seen on Instagram or some of our other social media channels that we're going to be making the ultimate vegan charcuterie board. This was actually inspired by our Director of Education, Tiffany, who's off camera right now. In fact, you're going to get to meet many of our illustrious members of the Switch for Good team. If you've ever been curious about what they look like, how tall they are, what their fashion style is, you're going to see all of that, because at the end of the video, we're going to bring everyone on to eat all of the beautiful vegan accoutrement that we're going to be preparing for you today. Heather, you are here for a few things here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I just got off the flight.
You literally just got off the flight.
Yeah.
And you had something very special packed away in your cooler bag.
I did. Vegan cheese. We've been making at V-Bites vegan cheese for over 30 years. When we first started it was soy-based cheese, and then it was pea protein cheese. And then a friend of mine's child couldn't eat food at the Great Ormond Street Hospital. So I said, well, that's ridiculous. 8 years old, why can't they eat food? And just said they were allergic to everything.
Yeah.
So I analysed, and a lot of people basically talk about coconut oil in different ways, but the fact is, having done loads of manometries and camera tests and everything on what happens to the digestive system, it's the one thing that can just slide through without creating any problem. And there's only a small percentage of people that would have an intolerance to coconut oil. So we made the cheeses with no additives, no preservatives, and a good shelf life and distribution. And it was the first time I'd eaten food. I made them a rice-based and quinoa pasta with our cheese, and it was like...
So you made this specifically to be allergen friendly so that people can enjoy it if they're having digestive issues or if they're having food allergies.
And even if they don't, I mean, just enjoying it, because you'll get to taste it. It tastes amazing. It's really creamy. But the fact that so many Americans and British have huge digestive issues, they've got PPIs and Gaviscon and acid reflux tablets, and it's all about what they're eating that creating the problem.
Yeah, so you're taking it to another level where it's not just about making it vegan and plant-based. You're thinking about how it's going to affect people's physiology as well.
Well, only because I got Lyme's disease and I had to live off liquid food. My appendix burst, they ripped my gallbladder out, nobody knew what was going on. Every time I ate anything, I just blew up like a balloon. And because I'd made vegan food and I was raw food at first, and then I said, we're not going to get everyone onto raw, so let's take them to stage 1, which was the meat, fish and dairy free. So we did like konjac fish. And then once they got through that, the metabolism and taste bud changed. They moved on to vegetable burgers. But some people can't digest garlic and onion without getting bloating. And a lot of products and foods in general have a lot of garlic and onion. Analyzed and created these low FODMAP, ready-to-go products. And worked out that the cheese, nobody had any negative reactions. So it was exciting.
Excellent.
15 years of scientific study.
Well, let's show them the cheese, because what we're going to do is Heather and I are going to be assembling a charcuterie board here. So for those of you who've never made a charcuterie board, it's kind of all the rage now. It's all over TikTok and Instagram. We're here on YouTube presenting our plant-based vegan version. So what flavors do you have here, Heather? What did you bring for us today?
We have 42 flavors, but I thought this will go perfectly with
Wait,
this.
hold on. We have 42 of cheese.
Because we distribute to 21 countries. So if we do chili cheese, Scandinavia like it twice as hot as the British. So we do pepper jack, nacho, truffle cheese. We're just making for the Orient Express.
For the Orient Express?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
We do very specialist cheeses as well. None of them have nuts in because of the nut allergies.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of nut cheeses out there. So it's just clean label, easy to digest. Yummy taste. And do you want to try it?
Yeah. And I love that you brought the flavors here. Is this cranberry and is it apricot?
Yeah.
So she must have read my mind. There must be a psychic vegan link going on here, guys, because as you see from the things we're going to be assembling for the board today, it's on the sweeter side. There are some savory ingredients, but as I was getting the ingredients together, I was thinking about berries and apples and sweeter cheeses and jams and crackers. So you must have read my mind because it's perfect in alignment with the flavor profile we're creating. So let's give it a taste. It's so creamy and soft.
And lovely cranberries, which are a low FODMAP fruit. Certain fruits can flare people up.
It's also not too salty. And I gotta say, yes, I'm eating with my mouth full. My mother would not approve of this, but it's okay. I feel like a lot of vegan products, they oversalt them, especially vegan cheeses.
Do you know
like
why?
you get hit with this massive salt blast.
But do you know why?
Please tell me.
It's it's this whole thing about idealism and realism. So the idealism for everybody is basically low salt, low fat, biodegradable packaging, a million things, and then it tastes like crap.
Right.
And salt affects the shelf life, and the supermarkets don't want to have a 2-day shelf life because the consumer won't pay for it. So the salt is added for shelf life, it's over added because of shelf life, not because of flavoring. So what we did was worked on the packaging to make sure it had 12 months shelf life with the green traffic lights we have in the UK of low salt, and did it with packaging. Because at first, we've shipped to Australia vegan food for 30 years, and then someone asked me, well, it has to be biodegradable, no plastic, does it? And it's like, yes, the world needs to become no plastic, but then you've got to buy very, very local, and you've got to be prepared, to pay more.
Right.
And there's again idealism, realism. So the consumer wants everything perfect, the supermarkets want everything perfect, and we, the manufacturers, are left holding the no-profit company. So then there's no product.
Yeah.
So you have to come up with clever solutions.
Yeah, and then the movement doesn't grow.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So we've got a couple of other brands in addition to these glorious V-Bites that Heather brought. So I kind of scoured Los Angeles, finding some of the more unique and unusual cheeses that are out there, which are very small companies. There's a lot of really small companies.
Very artisan.
Yes. So this is from a company. This is a Barn Cat cave-aged, ash-ripened, cashew-based cheese. It's not quite a blue cheese. I'm not really quite sure what it is. It looks to be maybe...
It looks like an algae.
I don't know. It didn't say on the packaging.
Interesting.
I don't know. We're going to put it here on the cheese board.
It looks great.
And then next...
The artisan cheeses are becoming more popular because before it was just always our standard cheddar, mozzarella cheeses that replace the biggest sellers, but these artisan ones are fabulous.
Yeah, this is a goat cheese. This is a dill and cranberry goat cheese from Yvonne, who has a bakery here in Los Angeles in Pasadena.
And that's the whole thing about needing to buy local with short shelf life cheeses, because these kind of cheeses in this packaging are not going to have a very long shelf life. So that's a high risk for the manufacturer with the best intentions. And when they're small and they want to scale, they get into trouble because they need to make sure not only scaling size and cash flow and being able to scale up a product is manufactured in a different way to something that's manufactured in a kitchen.
Right.
So there's loads of levels that unless you're in manufacturing, the consumer won't appreciate the hard work that they put into that.
And this one is a little on the spicier side. So I did get one spicy cheese. This is a roasted hatch pepper. It's a chili jack. So that's for the spicier fans out there. That's one version.
I'm just going to read the labels because I can't eat garlic and onion.
You know what? I bet there's onion probably in most of these.
There's not in this one. Not in the hatch chili jack. Almonds.
Oh no, there's onion. They snuck it in.
Yeah.
They snuck it in. So this one is also from Double Batch here in Los Angeles, but this one in particular is near and dear to my heart because as a child growing up in Detroit, so I've been lactose intolerant since birth.
Okay.
However,
most people are intolerant or sensitive,
and I
just don't know it.
I was very intolerant, but as a kid, I felt all this pressure because my friends were eating cheese. So I used to get Munster cheese, and I called it monster cheese because I couldn't pronounce it when I was little. And then when this company,
nose was blocked.
I was like, Monster, it's Monster cheese. But then they came out with a vegan version of Monster cheese, and it's very good. Yeah, it's very good.
That's great.
So we're going to set this
up here. The world is waking up.
The world is waking up.
But it's interesting. My partner of 5 years didn't know he was lactose intolerant. He wasn't sensitive, the lower scale, he was intolerant, but he hadn't quite become allergic. And he used to snore, and he was like, I don't snore. So I recorded him And then the next morning I played it back to him. He said, "That's not me." I said, "You do sound like an erupting volcano." And he's like, "That is not me." And I said, "And why are you blowing your nose on my towels?" He's going to kill me for saying this. But I said, "They're my brand new towels." And he said, "Well, I have to blow my nose so much that I blow through the tissue. So I need something stronger." So I bought him a little set of towels. And then I said, "Do me a favor," because we'd only just met. He didn't know I was slowly going to convert him, but he needed it. And I said, "Just stop for a month." And then he did, and after a week, he could breathe, and he hadn't breathed properly since he was 6, because he used to drink a gallon of milk every day and just blow his nose. And people who think it's normal to blow your nose in the morning have an intolerance. What might not necessarily be to lactose, it could be to something else. But it's not normal to blow your nose in the morning. It means your body's inflamed and you're full of mucus. Put him back on the dairy a month later, snoring.
Came back.
In a day. Like immediately.
One day.
Yeah.
See, that's one of the things, at Switch for Good that we like to encourage people is the immediate benefits of getting rid of dairy.
Yeah.
Whereas other animal products, which of course we encourage people to embrace a fully plant-based vegan lifestyle, but with the dairy, it's that immediate effect that people notice right away. And I remember when I started to become an athlete, I was running track, playing basketball. When I stopped cheating with dairy and doing a little bit, even my respiration, my performance, my endurance, I never looked back, even with small amounts, because I was going to the ice cream store and just having a little bit. But when I cut it out completely, it made a massive difference.
And now there's no excuse.
Right.
The products are all there. People talk about cost in certain things, but then they go out and have a packet of cigarettes and 3 pints of beer. I did a spreadsheet for somebody on what they actually ate and how they could save hundreds of pounds each month by following a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
They were shocked because they were just eating so much junk and feeling a million times better.
Yeah.
I think what needs to happen is when you've got no discipline and you have an addiction, which normal cheese is an opiate, people are addicted to it, which is why vegetarians find it really hard to go vegan.
Right.
Is you need to literally go to a place, because it's the first week that's the hardest. It's a bit like alcohol. And just get locked up somewhere if it's really that bad, because it is killing you and shortening your life, and that's scientifically proven, and you might not want to hear it, but it's true.
Right.
And then once you're weaned off it, then it's so much easier. I mean, we gave $1 million worth of food to the Bronx, to the kids, because they were getting $1 a day to eat.
Okay.
And we just fed them all and opened up little cafes, 2009. For the Hunts Point Alliance, next to like McDonald's, next to Burger King. Before I managed to get vegan burgers into McDonald's and Burger King, there was still a bit like that.
Yeah.
And the kids, literally, the type 2 diabetes was gone in 3 months, and we had all the universities following it, doing little prick tests and putting them through the microscope and analysing the changes. And then type 1 insulin injections were reduced down to 2 instead of 6. And the brain function over 4 years went up by 49%. And then the New York Coalition for Healthy School Foods worked with us to put healthy foods into the whole of New York. And now look at New York, you've got the mayor is vegan and there's a vegan option and everything. But back then, it was like, no, there's no way. Well, but the kids, and then what we did was we got them to grow vegetables on all the rooftops. So when they came back from school, they were looking like, oh my God, look, my carrot's grown, rather than, oh, what film am I watching? And this,
Yeah, well, you're creating a connection, a lifelong connection to know where their food comes from.
Yeah.
And I feel like in our industrialized food society, people are so disconnected from where their food comes from, what's in it, how it's grown.
Yeah.
And by you teaching that to children at such a young age, you're literally changing the course of their life.
And this is what it should be, literally the law, that you have the common sense class that literally teaches kids to change a light bulb, learn about nutrition. So every week there's something interesting and different. And to do a bit of plumbing, my partner was so highly educated with none of the skills of, anything. He's a wonderful person. I'm saying all these terrible things.
Is he on?
And he was probably watching. And he basically opened one of our cans of beans, because for the Ukraine and the war zones, we make these cans called high protein meals in a can. So it's like meat free with beans and cheese, and for people who can digest beans. Yeah. And you can eat them, because I worked in 3 different war zones, and you sometimes didn't have electricity.
Okay.
So we needed things you could eat straight out of the can. And that was like using excess stuff. But where was I going? You can tell I'm getting to perimenopause because my brain keeps going. 56, and they said it'll start kicking in eventually. What was I saying
well,
before
we
that?
were talking common sense.
Oh,
we
yeah.
started with common sense.
Common sense classes,
class.
yes. So he pulled the can and it didn't work. And then he said, what do I do now? And I went, what are you talking about? Get a can opener. And he got the can opener and went like this. How do I put that? I am not kidding. No. I am not kidding. And he's 40 years old.
Okay.
Because he went to a high university study, top place, and they just read books all the time.
Yeah.
Can't cook. Cooking course never happened. So there's a huge generation of kids now that can't cook, fast food, takeaway, and you're exactly right that they need to get in touch with their food again.
For me, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family where, on both sides of my family, my mom's side, which is Polish, Italian, and Ashkenazi Jew, my dad's side, Puerto Rican and Spanish.
Wow.
The love of food was infused, and it was really when people asked me what inspired me to become a chef, it was because that link between love and nourishment and togetherness was on both sides of the family, and I realized how rare that was. Though.
Well, it's not quite, it's rare, but the other downside of that, because that's a wonderful side, is that if they made you love unhealthy food, then your love connection to food stays with those unhealthy foods, and it's separating that umbilical cord from,
True.
My childhood. We didn't have hardly any food. We were really, really poor, so we just had whatever was left over. And we went vegan without even knowing it because we couldn't afford meat, because we had once a month we'd have roast rabbit on a Sunday, which is gross now, but I didn't know as a kid. Or we'd have Jew-herd sausages for £1 for 4. And the rest of the week, and the rest of the week it was beans and any kind of something.
Wow.
So we were, and now I thank my body for it, but at the time I used to envy someone having a ham and cheese sandwich and ours had margarine in it, and we pretended it had ham and cheese in it. Because that's the mentality that you think that's a good thing to have. Right. And when I worked on the Austrian ski team, and when I was ski racing, all I saw was the meat. Prosciutto and cheese in a white bun, and they were meant to go and race all day. And I converted 4 of them to vegan, but they weren't allowed to tell the Austrian ski team because they get sponsored by Milka and all the dairy and the meat companies. And they went right up and won gold medals and didn't let anyone know until they retired.
That's very interesting. And speaking of prosciutto, I did get an Italian brand called Mia. I've never tried this before. It's a prosciutto-style vegan meat. Yeah. It's plant-based deli slices.
Has it got onions in as well?
Let's see.
So at V-Bites, which is our company, we basically do all salamis, prosciutto.
It has garlic powder.
Yeah.
Garlic powder.
So one thing I just wanted to say for anyone who's not just doing dairy-free, but if they want to become vegan, really work out if you go off it because your colon and you're bloating and everything, and look at FODMAP, the Monash app, and you'll see that there'll be 1 of 5 things, because it's really sad to see people try vegan and then it's garlic or onion generally, and then they literally stop being vegan.
Because of the digestive distress.
Yeah, because they feel bloated and gassy. And if you've spent your whole life with putrefied meat and inflamed mucus-formed cheese, then when you start putting some vegetables in it, it's like a Hoover, it's the peristaltic movement, but it's slow because your colon is so slow, so you've got like constipation. Or then it's like a dam and you get severe diarrhea, which is not the ideal thing to talk about with the food, but it's a fact.
But it's a fact, and when I read so many stories increasingly of people who say, oh, I tried vegan and I felt bad. Yes. I felt awful. And you see more of those stories coming out more and more.
And it's not the vegan. It's you would feel bad if that same ingredient was in a sauce that you were putting meat with it.
Makes total sense.
If you actually are honest with yourself, at some point in your life, you've had a bad stomach and there was something that your body didn't like. It doesn't mean you can't overcome it. My girlfriend was allergic to apples for years because she ate so many of them she made herself intolerant. The key thing is, small amounts in your meal, not necessarily a small meal, but small amounts in moderation.
Yeah. So what I'm adding, Heather, here
cheese
is
and dairy.
Except cheese and dairy. Well, speaking of cheese, in case anyone missed it, I added here to these little ramekins an onion mascarpone, a smoked sharp cheddar, and a creme de brie. We also added some of the prosciutto slices, and then 2 different salamis here, which are wheat-based, by the way, from a company called Renegade Foods. It's a sweet Toscana and a spring salami, and some cornichons. So again, keeping things in a sweet varietal here. And also, people have been asking about this bread behind the camera. This is one of the most beautiful breads I've ever seen. This is a organic local sourdough. I don't know if you guys can see it, so hold it closer to the camera. This is colored with butterfly pea flour and turmeric. And it is one of the most extraordinary artisan breads that I've ever found. And I'm very, very excited about that. So we've got some crackers we're going to be adding here. These are rosemary buckwheat crackers. We've got some sweet corn crackers and polenta crackers as well. So giving people a beautiful spread. Also some dates. I don't know. What's your opinion on dates?
Great.
Would you like to try them?
Yeah,
So these are local Bari dates from Palm Springs. And they're like candy.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with dates.
And so for me, my downfall, if you will, or my Achilles heel in this whole health conversation is sugar. Whenever I get emotional, or I'm going through a breakup, or I'm feeling depressed, I have to stop myself from loading up on sugar. So I try to find healthier alternatives. It's like, I'm working with my sugar addiction. It'll probably never go away. I don't know, but I try and keep things like dates on hand if I do get that sugar craving.
This is a really perfect thing to bring up, because one of the biggest problems with most of my friends at the moment is they get home from work, they're really stressed, and they go for the wine. Now, when you were a teenager, you went for the chocolate.
Yeah.
Why are you going for the wine? Because it's sugar levels. So they're literally going through the day, grabbing some crap, and glycemic levels are going up and down. And if all they did was carry around a banana and just sort of blueberries, raspberries, and just had a few on an empty stomach between meals, not with your food, because it digests in 20 minutes. So it's much better if you separate out. When you follow the bloodline of those people, because we've done hundreds of them now, they get to the end of the day and they're going, I'm not really sure if I fancy a glass of wine. It's really fascinating. And then it becomes recyclical. If they have wine, then the next day it's again, why aren't they having wine in the morning until they get to alcoholism? They're not. They're going like this in the morning, and then it's going, and then you go for the wine.
Yeah.
And so that's why dates, but like one is enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're doing sport and you're an athlete and you need a lot more. But it's quite interesting monitoring the sugar levels, because I don't believe in a zero sugar diet. There are different healthy forms of sugar,
And that's why I'm asking, because a lot of people will say, oh, sugar's bad. And I feel like in a way, and I'm curious if you feel this way.
Not from natural fruits.
I feel like the health industry, if you will, the wellness industry, whatever you want to call it, seeks to sort of demonize things. I remember in the 80s, it was fat. And confuse
the heck out
right?
of it.
And I remember in the 80s, my mom was like, oh, I can't have any fat because fat's bad. And it wasn't about whether it's plant-based fat or animal fat. It was just
avocado oil or lard.
Categorically, fat was just bad,
Yeah.
right? And so I think it's interesting when people talk about sugar. I have so many people in Los Angeles that are like, well, sugar is just awful for you. We also had a question. What is the name of your company, Heather? We had a viewer ask. If you want to read it. Bee-Bites. And now
it's on here.
Where is it available right now?
If you Google it, we ship all around the world.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, but just not in the supermarkets in America yet. So we're looking for a distributor.
Okay.
So if anyone knows one, let us know.
If anybody knows a distributor for this fantastic cheese.
We have 340 products. We do everything.
How can you have that
we ship to 24 other countries, but not to America. We waited until we built huge factories to be able to make it happen here. But we also want to manufacture here. So, because I'm trying to infiltrate countries to get them vegan, and then manufacture locally.
Infiltrate countries to get them vegan. I love that.
But then you have to manufacture locally. Like in India, huge veggie vegan society. They get huge taxes if they take products finished. But you have to protect your IP, but still be able to manufacture in different places around the world.
Oh, interesting.
So it's a balancing act.
Would you like to try cherry?
No, because that's a high FODMAP.
Oh, it is. See, you're teaching me so many things.
So you're
teaching me so many things.
These 3 are low FODMAP and a banana. That's fine if you don't have any gut issues, but if you do, it might be that kind of fructose.
Okay, so
really interested.
So Heather,
it's not fructose totally.
For people that have just now heard this term FODMAP, because I feel like in the lexicon of different styles of eating or lifestyles, we hear about, gluten-free, low glycemic. What is the basis of a FODMAP diet? What is the ethos behind it?
Well, there are 5 groups. So when you start, if you get unfortunate digestive issues regularly, and I don't just walk one off that you might have had food poisoning, then you should look at the Monash FODMAP. It's scientifically studied for ages and ages, and we've done loads of data for 15 years and ended up actually creating a range that comes out in September. And it's called No Bloat. Because you can be as skinny as me and you go from 6-pack to 6 months from cauliflower. So I thought, let's create this so that it's got the perfect ingredients that won't irritate the gut at all. So we did 20 recipes. This is a vegetable tagine. We do curries, all the things that people love. But it's very much quinoa and mycoprotein based. But the problem with mycoprotein at the moment is they put garlic and onion in it. So it makes it uneatable. And
mycoprotein is a mushroom-based protein.
It's a mushroom-based,
right.
But the only mushrooms that don't create any issue in the gut are oyster mushrooms. All the other mushrooms, if you are mannitol and fructin sensitive, will give you issues.
Wow.
So usually anywhere between 15 and 75 grams of a product to go into something depending on what you're going to eat.
Wow.
But it's fascinating, but it's for people who have gut issues. If you have no gut issues, just eat as many plants and vegetables. The younger generation tend to have more hydrochloric acid and digestive enzymes, and they haven't. It's about, plant-based can actually feed the microbiome and everything, but the right ones, depending on, we're all unique.
Yeah.
And that's why really we should have prescription food, and we can overcome things. I can never, for 20 years, overcome garlic and onion. No matter how much I try, when I'm feeling really good, I think, oh, my stomach's flat, I'm not bloated. Just have a little bit of that garlic.
Well, let me ask you this: How do you go out to eat that? I mean,
I'm great. I literally say I'm allergic, and it is an allergy.
Yeah,
and
right.
Then I look at their menu and I go, I'll have the avocado off that, and the corn off that, and the tomatoes off that, and the pecan pepper off that, and the quinoa off that. And can you just shove it all in a bowl and do me a big poke bowl? And they go, I said, I don't care. But just don't get it near onion and garlic.
Yeah.
And everywhere will do that for you. If you say it's an allergen, if they think you're a fussy eater or you're a vegan, they go, no, we can't do that.
So you have to make sure that this is like a life or death situation.
Yeah, and I cook a lot at home as well.
But
I send a list when people invite me to dinner parties. I say, you don't want me to be your dinner guest. I say, just give me, and most of the time, if I go out to a pub, all I eat is chips. Which people can't believe. They sit and look at me and go, is that what she's eating? Chips and a bit of lettuce.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm adding a couple of jams here. This is an apricot and chia jam, and then I'm adding a smoked fig jam as well.
Chia is great.
Yeah, chia is so lovely. So I think we're getting close here, Heather. We've got such a beautiful spread with the berries, all of your beautiful cheeses, the salamis, the prosciutto, the dates, all these great.
For a party.
Isn't this beautiful?
Yeah.
And for you, starting this company in 1993, I started my vegan journey in 1995. To see the amount of variety and offerings, I mean, it's absolutely incredible to think what's on the market now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, how far you've come in 30 years on this journey.
And we just need to educate people at the stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Stage 1, if you're a Burger King, McDonald's, Domino's eater, you go on the vegan burger, Domino's. And it's still a million times less processed than what you're eating at this fast food.
Sure.
But then you get off that and you get onto the vegetable-based ones. And then you move more and more cleaner. But you can't go from there to there unless you're really sick.
Right.
But we've got to talk about the reality of America and England is fast food junkies. 90% of America and England obese, overweight and unhealthy, and their medical bills go through the roof. So it's about creating great tasting food that help them go through the stages, not dictating you must just go straight to healthy food.
Yeah.
You need to give them a hand over the bridge.
It's beautiful. Thank you, Heather.
Thank
it's been
you.
a pleasure having you.
Fun.
Heather Mills, everyone, here
Thank
with the Switch for Good Kitchen, aka Switchen. I'm Chef Jason Wrobel. We appreciate you guys being here. So many beautiful people on the live feed. And be sure to stay tuned. If you have not done so already, please go to our website, Switch4Good, that's the numeral 4, switch4good.com. Sign up for our newsletter there, where you will be the first to know about our new episodes of Switchen here on YouTube. All kinds of great new campaigns we've got. We've got the dietary guidelines there if you haven't signed yet to help remove dairy from the dietary guidelines. And of course, our Add Soy Act, getting soy milk into the U.S. school lunch program for the very first time in history. So go to our website. If you haven't subscribed yet here to our YouTube channel, please do so. Oh, did I say .com? Oh, I'm sorry. .org. Wow. That's what happens when you don't sleep before you're doing a recipe demo. It's switchforgood.org. O-R-G. Thank you guys so much, and appreciate you joining Switchen. You guys ready to feast? Yeah? Ready to feast? All right, let's do this, guys. Thanks so much. Take care. We'll see you soon.
It was amazing.
That was brilliant.
You two were great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, such good
Hang on,
chemistry.
I want to take a picture.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
We just need to take